Okay, so we are gonna fill out our graphic organizer for as much as we've learned so far. So this page focuses on factoring, but before we learned factoring, we learned how to expand or put something into standard form. So ax squared plus bx plus c, that is in standard form. So we're trying to take these two factors and put them into this form. And I did terrible on my spacing here. I'm going to redraw my box. So what you do is, if you're using the box method, you can take one factor and put it across the top. It doesn't matter which one. So we have 3x and minus 4. And then the other factor and put it along the side. So 2x minus 5. And don't forget the minus put in front of the 5, not on top of it here, because otherwise it's easy to lose track of. So to find this box, you take these two things times each other. So 6x squared. This box is these two things, negative 15x. This box is 2x times negative 4, so negative 8x. And this box down here is 20. And then you're going to rewrite these. So 6x squared minus 8x minus 15x plus 20. And then don't forget to combine your like terms. So we can combine these two since they both have an x with them. So we have 6x squared minus 8, oops, combining like terms. So negative 8 minus 15 is negative 23 plus 20. So that's the box method if you want to use that. Otherwise, you can use distributing. So you take this first term times these two terms. So 3x times 2x and 3x times negative 5. So 6x squared and then minus 15x. And then negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Negative 4 times negative 5 is a positive 20. And then these two things are exactly the same. One you just use a box and one you don't. So this final answer is 6x squared minus 23x plus 20. This one, a common mistake is to square your x and square this 4. But really, squared means you're taking something times itself. So this is equivalent to x minus 4 times x minus 4. And then you can either do the box method or distributing method, and you should get x squared minus 8x plus 16. Okay, so now, we'll go down to this one actually. So this one is just distributing. You're not distributing two binomials. Now you're taking this out here and distributing it into the binomial. So 5 times x plus 2 is 5 times x, so 5x, and then 5 times 2 plus 10. Same with down here. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 4 is negative 8x. All right, so factoring out your greatest common factor. So when you're doing these, you want to look for the number, the biggest number that goes into both this 2 and this 8. So the biggest number that goes into 2 and 8 is 2. But since this leading term is a negative, we need to factor out a negative. So it'll be negative 2. And then to figure out what goes on the inside of your parentheses, you're taking this original expression and you're dividing it by negative 2 to see what you have left. So negative 2x divided by negative 2 is just x. Negative 8 divided by negative 2 is a positive 4. To check your work, you can redistribute. So negative 2 times x gives you negative 2x. Negative 2 times positive 4 gives you negative 8. All right, this one, both of these terms have x's in them. So we know that we're going to be able to factor out an x. So between a 3 and a 2, greatest common factor is, well, it's just 1. So you don't have to write that. And then between x squared and x, it's just x. So if I factor out an x of both of these, I'm left with 3x minus 2. Here you have a 5 and you have a 15. So greatest common factor between 5 and 15, that's 5. Between x squared and x, that's just going to be x. And then you're left with x minus 3. This one, you have a 4 and a 6. Greatest common factor is 2. These both have x's, so we can factor out 1x. And you're left with 2x minus 3. Okay, let's go down here to factoring trinomials. So why are there all those extra numbers? I have no idea. Okay, so where these little stars are, let's just put a side note of you need two numbers that multiply to your C term and add to your B term. Okay, so C term, that's the last term or just the constant. Your B term is the term that it's usually in the middle unless it's written out of order, but your B term is the one that has the X with it. So two numbers that multiply to C. So if we're doing this one, I like to write out my factors. So you have 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. So your factors of your C term, and then you look at these and see which ones add to give you this middle term. So we want them to add to 7, so that would be 2 and 5. So x plus 2, x plus 5, and that one is done. If you look at this one, two numbers that multiply to 8, so we have 1 and 8, 2 and 4, and that's it. So which ones of these add to 10? Well, none of them do. So if you can't factor, you write prime. So prime just means it cannot be factored. This one, so I can actually rewrite this as x squared plus 0x minus 16 because there's no x's in here. So these two things are equivalent, but now I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 16 and add to 0. And that's just x plus 4, x minus 4. And then why is that written? Something funky happened with my formatting, and I'm not sure what it was. Okay, get rid of that one. All right, so then factoring when a does not equal 1. So here you can either use box method, the reverse box method, or you can use grouping. And I will do an example of both. So we'll do box method first. So, and just a reminder, this is just a refresher from what we've done. There are videos on how to do these and why these things work. So this first term goes here. The last term will go here. Then to fill in these two boxes, you need two numbers that add to your middle number, which is 8. And you need two numbers that multiply. So if you don't have an a value, so if this is just a 1, you would have two numbers that multiply to 3. But since you do have this a value, you have to take 4 times 3, which is 12. So you need two numbers that add to 8 and multiply to 12. So things that multiply to 12 are 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. So which of these are going to add to 8? Well, 2 and 6. So you can put, it doesn't matter which one you put where. So you have 2x here, 6x here, and then you take out your greatest common factor. So 6x and 3 is 3, 4x squared and 2x, that's 2x, 6x and 4x squared, that's also 2x, and then 2x and 3, it's just 1. So this answer will be 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 3. This one, let's do by grouping. So for grouping, what you're doing is instead of writing this in 3 terms, we want to write it in 4. So your first term will be the same, your last term will be the same. To figure out these middle two numbers, you need to come up with two numbers that add to this middle number again, so negative 24, and multiply to these outside two, so multiply to negative 25. So numbers that multiply to negative 25 are negative 25 and 1, and those actually add to negative 24. So you take these two numbers and we put them in here. So we have negative 25x plus 1x. So notice how negative 25 plus 1, that's the same as negative 24. So now you do the grouping. So we're going to group these two together. We're going to group these two things together. And we want to take out our greatest common factor. So between 5x squared and negative 25x is 5x. So if I take 5x out of both of these, I'm left with x minus 5. Then I'm going to do the same thing here. So greatest common factor between x, or 1x and negative 5, well, that's just 1. And then I'm left with x minus 5. So when you are doing grouping, these two sets of parentheses should always be the same. So one of our factors is going to be x minus 5, and the other one is going to be the leftover stuff, which is 5x plus 1. And then the last one I will do quickly. We'll do it with the box method again. So 8x squared, 3, you need two numbers that add to a negative 10, multiplied to 24. So that would be, I think, 2 and negative 12. So 2x, negative 12x. Take out your greatest common factor. Something. And I did that wrong. This is what happens when you go too fast. So numbers that multiply to 24, positive 24, I was doing negative 24. So it's actually going to be negative 4 and negative 6. Haha. Okay, sorry about that. Some of you are probably yelling at me through your screen. Or not. Okay, negative 4x, negative 6x. So when I factor these out, I get negative 3. Here I get 4x. Here I get 2x. Here I get just a negative 1. So we have 2x minus 1 and 4x minus 3.